Okay, so I'm going to use this as a chance to document my progress on this particular project of making my workshop area a bit more usable. As you can already tell, the lighting isn't fantastic, but let me just give you a tiny little tour. So we'll start with the front door. It's basically just another room in my basement. I've got I got a couple bookshelves full of random junk. A pile of empty boxes of filament that I haven't put away yet. And then we have my first little shelf here, which has an old Ender 3S1 Plus, I believe, with a couple Space Pi Pluses for drying filaments, along with my little PVC filament rack that I built a little while ago. It's not the greatest, as you could tell by that little joint there sagging, but hey, it gets the job done. Next to it, I got my Creality K2 Plus, currently on standby because I'm working on a project, as you can see here. I'm working on the Phase 2 Clone Trooper armor, and it's a process that I am learning, as you can see by this nasty stitch and this less than stellar glue joint there. But hey, it's a process. Anyways, I have a slight Dr. Pepper problem at the moment. Hooked all that up to this UPS right here, which has been fantastic. 100% recommend if you don't have one. But one thing I need to fix, my filament storage, because I have it kind of organized like this row. The top row is PLA because that's what I have the most of. I got my PETG on this, in this general area, and I got ABS over here. And then the big problem I have is, what if I have extra filament, like this one spool of TPU? It's just, it was in the dryers for a while until I needed them to fill with white PLA, because this thing, even though it's old, has been printing like a champ. It's slow, but it works. Like both of these forearms and both of these biceps printed on it. And the print quality is actually quite decent. I think by the time it's finished, I'm not going to be able to tell. But anyways, back to the tour. So I got my bookshelves filled with random stuff. But on the other side, you can see these blankets hanging up. Blanket 1, blanket 2. And that's because this is where the third shelf rack is. That has my computer. And then my desk is right here as well. You can see I got another file sliced up and ready to go. I just haven't sent it off because it's noise, you know. I have a very basic air purifier that I have strategically placed in this little gap in the blankets to circulate a little bit of fresh air around here. Obviously this giant gap doesn't help things, but I've got a couple things just scattered around my desk. I've got a whole bunch of hardware over here that I've gathered from around the house, as well as my Postomatic that I printed a while ago, and a bunch of these little toolboxes that I printed to hold a bunch of M3 and M4 bits and pieces. Got some flight sim stuff, an extra controller when I want, or an extra pillow for when I want to sit forward on my chair. You know, airheads, obviously, important to stay fueled up. And then I've got my solvents very neatly stacked in here next to sandpaper and silica stuff. So it's a very basic little thing. Oh, the pillow and the blankets on the walls and ceiling are for soundproofing, because it echoes really bad in here, which is why I hung these up. So that's one thing I want to fix throughout this little adventure. I also want to try to maximize the usage of my space, because it used to be worse, believe it or not. It used to be worse. So goals that I want to achieve. I want to get rid of the blankets, because obviously it makes this very small space even smaller, because it's basically just a hallway. Like, you know, there's basically just a little walkway around. Obviously I need to get rid of my garbage problems, but that's a whole other thing. But then you just have this like separate mini cubicle sized office space in here that is not very space efficient. So get rid of those, get rid of that pillow, figure out my junk excess storage thing, because I got supplies and things just hanging out. And then I also want to do some kind of fume extraction or filtration for this, because it does have filters in here, but they're not the world's greatest filters. They do okay. I'm sure that it would be worse if I didn't have them, but the smell can get a little bit rough to deal with, especially because I'm right here. And this air purifier is not meant for this application. Let's just put it that way. Not meant for that. It does okay, but if I'm doing like very long prints, or if I'm doing ABS, I generally go somewhere else, which means that, you know, I can't use my computer, play games with friends, do schoolwork, get new build plates ready to go. So it just kind of slows everything down if I'm doing big long prints or using ABS or other stinky filaments. So yeah, oh, I also need to get a new poop chute solution, because this was a thing I printed from, I don't remember exactly where I printed it from, but it's meant to go this way, but obviously UPS is here, so maybe organization is another thing I need to work on. But yeah, I guess this will be a part 1 to this whole saga. Networking I need to work on. As you can see, my networking is fantastic. It's just strung up along the back wall there. The big old coil over here to this network switch, which has that big long cable that goes all the way across my basement to my modem and my router. So yeah, lots of projects I want to eventually fix. I'm hoping I can get some of that solved with some 3D printing, some other stuff solved with other forms of making things work. So I think my first step is going to be cleaning up the mess and just getting rid of garbage, and then trying to figure out where stuff is going to live. So I think I'm going to start with that.